Spoon and the Pumpkin Light replaces dangerous candles with glowing results. Have a great pumpkin this Halloween with the Pumpkin Cutter, Pumpkin Scoop, and Pumpkin Light.
Pumpkin Cutter products available at Long's Drugs and Safeway.
Welcome back to Monster Madness.
My latest masterpiece.
Happy Birthday to Me, released in 1981, came along quite early in the long scheme of slasher films. Friday the 13th, which kicked off the craze, had set a precedent for slasher movies. There had to be a mysterious, unseen killer who stalked young people and offed them in interesting and gory ways, only to be revealed in an exciting twist at the end that the killer wasn't who you expected them to be. And Happy Birthday to Me certainly checks all those boxes. The movie tells the story of a young girl, Virginia, who's a preppy newcomer to a group of popular kids who keep getting killed off by a strange, black-gloved killer. All of the characters are stereotypes. We have the jock, the nerd, the joker, the rebel boy, the promiscuous girl, and the best friend. The plot unfolds exactly as you would expect it to. But Happy Birthday to Me is a little more than a stereotypical slasher movie. Let's turn to the slasher scale to talk about it. In terms of story, the film alters the formula with the protagonist's backstory. Virginia isn't any old teenager. Instead, she's afflicted by suppressed memories of a terrible accident that almost claimed her life. And, throughout the entire film, she witnesses flashbacks that bring about very few revelations about her predicament at all. In fact, almost all of the scenes with Virginia's repressed memories feel like they belong in a different movie. There's strange medical treatments that feel like they've been ripped out of Reanimator, and a psychiatrist who has a strangely sexual relationship with Virginia that feels like it came right out of Twin Peaks. But what really makes the story interesting is how poorly the mystery and twist are executed. It's clear from the beginning of the film that there's something off about Virginia. She comes across as so uncharismatic and weird that you know there's something to her that's a little more than just a repressed memory. And that weirdness pays off right in the middle of Act 2 with 40 minutes left of the movie. Delivering the twist that the killer is Virginia this soon in the movie removes all tension from the film. Instead, the writers try to make you question Virginia's sanity, but every single kill is so closely tied to her that it seems impossible that anyone but her could be doing them. In fact, we watch as she stabs the nerdy character in the stomach and impales the cool character in the mouth with a kebab skewer. But then, in the last 5 minutes of the film, the writer and director decided to slap another twist on in order to make the movie more interesting. What results is so comical that it must be seen to be believed. The ending feels so absurd and tacked on that the entire story almost feels worthwhile just to see it. In terms of story, Happy Birthday to Me gets a 2. In terms of scares, there's very few. If you are susceptible to jump scares, there's a few very obvious and predictable ones that might put you a little on edge. The gore is minimal, so you won't have to worry about being squeamish until the very end of the film, where we see some very well done special effects makeup. Otherwise, the movie is so predictable and dated that it's not really scary at all, so I'm giving it a 2 in the scares department. When it comes to comedy, this film feels very lacking. Most 80s slashers tried to bring a bit of levity with a practical Joker character or some simple one-liners, but those are severely lacking in this film. Yes, there is a practical Joker, but he comes across more as a strange weirdo than an attempt at comedy. Ultimately, the only thing I found funny about the movie was the ineptitude of the ending, but that was mostly because it was so bad that it caught me off guard. So, for comedy, this one gets a big old goose egg. The movie has several kills, most done in slightly gimmicky ways with a fair amount of fake blood that makes them interesting. The Giallo-inspired black gloves and POV shots make the kills feel a bit more gritty and enjoyable. A girl gets her throat slit, a guy gets his face shoved into a motorcycle chain, a guy gets weights dropped on his neck, another gets stabbed in the stomach, and in the best kill of the movie, a guy gets stabbed in the mouth with a kebab skewer. The other kills are mostly standard and dull, so if you're a gorehound, you won't be super impressed by this one. But if you like the standard 80s slasher murder style, then you might find the kills satisfying. So, it gets a 3 for kills. Ultimately, what saves this movie is its craft. In its restored high-def version, everything looks great. There's some genuinely good cinematography in this film. Camera angles and movement are well used, making the insanity scenes feel more interesting and disorienting. Use of color and lighting is fantastic, really reminiscent of the Giallo films that clearly inspired the director of this picture. The special effects are well done and look pretty good for the era, and the theme song is really effective and lends a great creepy ambiance to the film. Plus, the filmmakers were willing to destroy a great-looking classic muscle car just to make the payoff of a fun bridge-jumping sequence more rewarding. This film had some interesting and creative work done in its making, but is the 4 enough to save it? Let's go to the final tally to find out. Totaling up all the scores, Happy Birthday to Me gets an 11 out of 25. This means that it's just below average in terms of quality. So, give it a watch if you want to see the oldest sister from Little House on the Prairie go crazy and murder some people before a bizarre and shockingly bad twist. That's all for now, and remember, stay spooky.